Welcome back, everybody. This is Dr. Jim, looking snazzy and
in my t-shirt.
Jodie.
I was like, what are you doing? I can't. So here's Fancy Jim.
And Jodie rolling out of bed in her t-shirt.
And my ripped up jeans.
Hopefully those aren't on camera. Right? No, Sharice, thank you.
And here we go,
And
guys.
here we go. Just took a minute.
Yeah.
So, again, Dr. John Demartini, part 100.
The value system. How much you love your partner.
That was a good conversation.
Yeah.
I think that's shown up a lot lately. He's really helped me have that conversation with patients, and then even the interview, right? Because he was asking, or we'll just kind of go back to it. It's like, have you, like, just out there ever just wanted to achieve something or set goals, and then you find yourself days or weeks into it, and you're just like fizzled out of it, or just not even wanting to do the daily tasks that you set forth to achieve that goal?
Yeah.
Happens a lot, and I always get stuck with that too. I'm like, damn, that's what I wanted. How come I'm having such a hard time doing it?
And then we ended up having a great conversation on foundations, So your values and your foundations are a lot of the same. You got to make sure that that's what you really want,
Right. So I get all the time, or during that interview especially, he was asking, so how or what type of advice would you give to somebody that, wants to lose weight or wants to be healthier? And I was like, well, first you have to figure out what their values are. Mm-hmm. And Dr. John talks about that, which we'll roll that right now too, because he goes into it really, he depicts it and paints that picture very well on what it looks like to set your values, and if you're not achieving what you want, then it's not your highest value. And you either have to be able to switch your values, or just, number one, even determine what they are in order to get what you want. So,
and on his website, he has where you can go in there and get your values determined.
Right.
Yeah, fill it out. So take advantage of this, guys. I mean, it's an eye opener.
yeah. So watch what he has to say, and then visit his website for sure to do the work.
Yeah, we appreciate you looking okay with you being okay that he's fancy and I'm not.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
So when you talk about the value system, and I thought it was really powerful the other night when you were like, change out your values. So could you give anybody a little hint, like if they think they're really rooted, but obviously their actions are saying something else?
Well, anytime you want to excel at something and you want to be committed to something, if it's not highest on your value, it won't be. Mm-hmm. So you have two choices: either get real, find out what you really value, what your life demonstrates is important. Because I have people, like I had a young boy come up to me today, and he says, I know what I want, but I never get around to doing it. And I said, then it's not really what you want. It's what you think you want. Mm-hmm. He goes, well, I know I want it. And I said, no, you be doing it. What do you keep being distracted by that you keep doing instead? Well, this. I said, that's what you obviously want. Or you wouldn't be doing that. Because right now, whatever you make a decision on, you make a decision based on what you will give you the greatest advantage or disadvantage. You assume right now there's more advantage doing what you're doing than that. But you're expecting yourself to do this. And the wording tells me, you said I should be doing this, and I'm not. Shoulds are outer injections from other people and not hearts. Mm-hmm. When your heart is driving you, you don't should yourself. You go, man, this is what I love doing. Right. Yeah. So I explained to him, and a little light bulb went on him, and he was probably 13 years old. And I said, so there's nothing wrong with you. You're just having an expectation to live outside what you really value. Get clear about what you really value and honor it. Yeah. And he looked at me and he goes,
Aww.
high five.
I love it.
He got it. And so many people, I ask people how many want to be financially independent, and they all put their hands up. Yeah. But only 1% really do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So 99% of the people live in a fantasy they want to be financially independent, but what they really want is to spend money like the lifestyles of rich and famous. They want to be a consumer of depreciables and liabilities instead of actually buying assets. And it's the investors that buy assets that get wealthy. The other ones don't.
I really loved when you were saying to be of service, because when we did our 200 today, I mean, that was, I think our first 98 was all about being of service, and we threw in a couple of materialistic things.
But it has to be a benefit to you.
Yeah.
Not just a benefit to others. It has to be a benefit to you.
What I love.
What drives you to want to do it?
Yeah. I know. I think that's probably one thing that I've struggled with the most is like
projecting out or trying to give so much, thinking that being of service is what's going to make you happy, then sometimes you can be really left empty or
Well, if
lonely.
you're going out of fair exchange and you're not having a fair exchange transaction, the altruism will eventually become narcissism. So you want to make sure that there's a blend. You want to be able to speak up and say, hey, I'm worth something and you're worth something. Let's have a fair exchange. The only thing that's sustainable is fair exchange.
Yeah.
So maintaining fair exchange is what builds. If I don't have fair exchange, my business is affected. If I maintain fair exchange, if I get cocky and I start forgetting the people, it affects the business. If I get really humble and start negotiating away because I'm minimizing myself, it affects my profits. So I got to make sure that I'm in equity and in equanimity within myself and equity between myself and others to have fair exchange, sustainable. And then when you find that blend, it opens up doorways.
Yeah. Because we were talking like one of my mission statements is to make X amount of dollars so that I can employ well-paid, integrity-based, loyal people so they can shine their light and let other people shine their light and then be of service to open foundations. So that I'm getting that exchange, but it's just like being able to turn the light on inside of people, which I was watching you in the room the other day and it was just like that happening. That's a gift. That's a amazing gift.
Beware, because a gift is just 25 or 30 or 40 or 45 years of practice. Because sometimes people say, oh, you have a gift. Because if you believe it's a gift, you'll think, well, I don't have that gift, so I can't do that. If you believe that I just put some effort into it, then you realize all I have to do is put the same effort in.
Oh.
Because I'm not gifted. If you saw all the videos of all my years of speaking, you'd be having hysterical laughter on some of the early ones.
That's good. Did you guys get that?
Yeah, it's not about a gift.
That nugget. I like that.
It's about realizing they just put the effort in.
Yeah.
Overnight success is 25 years of staying with it.
Your 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
More like 300,000. Yeah, 10,000 is minor.
Oh my god. And then you said at the conference, come up for pictures, hugs, all that stuff. I love that human touch. And is that something that you've always incorporated or that you just found later on that really works?
I'm here to speak and I'm here to help people. And if I just whisk me off, sometimes I get whisked off the stage. And I go, well, I'm here to be of service to the people. So, and they go, well, yeah, but most of the speakers want to get out of here. And I said, I don't mind. These are the people I'm trying to make a difference in.
Yeah.
And sometimes answering questions is something. Sometimes I get overwhelmed. I was in with 9,000 people, and we had 1,700 people line up, and it was 3.5 hours of signing books and things like that. But
it's appreciated. Like I appreciate it.
Well, it was. I learn a lot too. I learn what people need, and I get an idea what they want to share, and sometimes they want to share dreams, and sometimes I can make a bigger difference. And if I don't have a rush, I'll do it. If I literally have to catch a flight, I can't do that. But sometimes I'm flying in and I'm landing. Like in Florida, I've got a gig on Monday night, but I land at 5:40 and I get to the hotel at 7. I have a quick dinner and then a function. So and then that function right afterwards, I'm going to probably leave a little early because the next morning I have something really early. So I want to get at least some rest.
Yeah. Unlike last night.
I get about 3 hours. My eyes are all red. Yeah, 3 hours sleep last night.
On that note, maybe we should let him get some sleep.
Because sometimes I'm doing business in South Africa, which is 8 hours ahead from here, and sometimes their day is my late night.
Right.
So sometimes I have meetings, and sometimes I get interviewed at weird hours. Because if I'm getting ready to go to Australia and they want to do interviews, sometimes my 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning is. I had a board meeting. Where was I? In Honolulu the other day, at 2 to 4 in the morning. 2 to 4 for a charity board out of London. So that's when they were open. But they had people from different parts of the world on this charity board, and I'm one of the board members. So we did it at 2 to 4, and then I had an early morning begin again.
Are there like any foundations that you're like locked into that you're like you really like to be a part of besides what you just do?
I can't say that I'm locked into any of them. As long as I feel like I'm serving, I'll help.
Nice.
But if I don't feel like I'm contributing, like I was involved in one, and I spoke up and I said the objective that you're doing, I don't believe in. I'm going to bail out.
Nice.
And they said, what do you mean you don't believe in? I said, you're about to be too. You're going to basically enable and disable people with your generosity. And I won't do that. I said, don't rob people of dignity, accountability, responsibility, and productivity. And what you were doing is they were about to build houses for some people that their total income could not sustain them. And in the process of doing it, they were about to burden a group of people, and they didn't realize that where they were building these homes, there was rainfall, and there's erosion, and that the maintenance on that, and just the cost of that, plus the mildew and everything else, they weren't thinking of those variables. And I saw those immediately. I said, I want to be part of this, because you don't have the funding to sustain that, and what you're going to do is you're going to make a bunch of disabled people out of it. I said, these people don't make enough income to even cover the maintenance. I said, so your altruistic act is actually going to undermine this culture. And so I bailed out on them, and I said, unless you're willing to make changes. They said, well, we'd rather you not be out. What changes would you recommend? I listed 60 changes that would have to be there.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we're going to have to raise more money. If you raise more money and you do those things, I'm in.
Yeah.
Nice.
They do
But
it.
you got to bring education to people, because if not, you're not helping them.
Right.
You can't rescue people. You can't rescue desperation. It actually destroys culture.
You gotta empower them.
So I have certain criteria that I learned. I studied stuff on charities and things, the Rockefellers and those people, and I got a criteria that I did. I kind of a checklist, and I there's some things I won't touch.
Yeah.
And they'll think, well, I'm greedy. Well, everybody projects onto you. Well, if you don't help us, then I'm a greedy guy or something. But I do help people. But I want to make sure it's really going to make productivity.
And the education part is huge.
I'd much rather educate. I'll do things for kids and schools and educate people, municipalities, stuff. I don't mind doing that, because education, I think, is probably the most valuable thing I can give. And sometimes money is valuable, but sometimes money is not as valuable as education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And accountability. You got to have accountability.
Yes. You shared before the camera started rolling about when you were at the library, and he had said to you, you can't take away your education.
They can never take away your love and wisdom. You gain the wisdom of love and the love of wisdom. They can never take away your love and wisdom.
Yeah.
And I don't have it on today, but I have cufflinks in the other room. I can show them to you. That says love and wisdom. Those cufflinks have been with me because they represent a lot. Meeting him was very significant. There's a little book called The Boy Who Barked that's out there that somebody in Australia, in Melbourne, Australia, published out of my story. They recorded the story in a talk. I didn't know that. And they recorded it and transcribed it, and then asked if they could authorize publishing that as an inspirational book for kids.
Oh.
And I said, okay. We edited it and cleaned it up, and I helped out a little bit. And they published it. It's called The Boy Who Barked.
Nice.
And it has it in there and talks about love and wisdom.
So before we get out of here, with that experience, what are 2 things that you would leave with somebody, or that we could leave with the audience if you had to leave 2 things with them?
Well, I would tell people to look carefully and honestly about what their life demonstrates that's most important. And don't lie to themselves. What do they do spontaneously every single day, or nearly every day, that they love doing, that they just do, that they never let themselves down on, and they never let anybody else down on? And start from what you know is truly valuable to you, because that you don't let down. And go through a value determination process. On my website, I have a thing called the value determination.
Right.
If they do that, it will help them narrow what that is. And once you have that, you want to ask yourself, you want to fill your day with high priority actions that inspire you, or otherwise it's going to fill up with low priority distractions that don't. If you want a life of inspiration, you have to prioritize and live by the highest priorities, and then serve people to earn the income to delegate. If you don't, you're going to live by lower priorities, you're going to devalue yourself, and you're going to be then, as a result of the unfulfillment, trying to consume other people's brands to feel better about yourself. And you're going to help other people's brands as a consumer, but you're not going to build your own brand. And the real you, the real legacy, the real authentic you deserves a brand.
Yeah, that's great.
That is
Yeah.
really good.
Appreciate it.
That was
Thank you.
phenomenal. Seriously, I'm going to hug you. Thank you. That was fantastic.
Thanks, Doc.
Thanks again.
Thanks. That was heartfelt. Thank you.